and how do we find it? So maybe we'll come back and talk a little bit about that and about the Emerald Heart when we come back. So we're going to come back and talk about that. Are you feeling disconnected? I want to tell you a story about a friend of mine who got me back to reading the Bible, and it's really been helping me. What's your key? Is it reading a book like this? How do you find it and get back on track? And let's get on with this thing called life, because time's ticking. So is this. We're going to go to break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to First Take Live. Good to have you with us tonight. When we went away, we talked about, I was talking about some of the things, and you know, obviously you're talking about what's going on for you. Mm-hmm. And the bottom line is that something tipped over for you. It's kind of like all of a sudden it tripped over for you. I know for me, something happened. And it was a time where, what are the keys? What are the things? And I was just saying during the break that I kept thinking, oh, it can't be that. It can't be that thing that I'm just not really paying attention to. It can't be that. I mean, it can't be that important. And then, you know, you know, I had to pick up this, my business cards for an event we were doing, the Holistic World Expo, I think it was. Okay. Had to pick up my business cards for this. And the way I got lined up from our marketing department, so I ended up having to go see a good friend of mine who's, you know, actually studying to be a pastor right now, Dennis Brown. And I ended up sitting in his kitchen, and we started talking, and I had some questions. And then, you know what? I mean, my family heritage, both parents are Jewish. But as a kid, the Jewish community wasn't very fair to us as kids. So I really kind of turned my back on them because I thought they were pretty rotten as a group of people for what they did to my mom and us as a kid. Anyways, I realized that I needed to now take a look at maybe my heritage. And so I decided, well, what better way to study than to go to the Old Testament? And for me, the Bible, starting to reading, you know, from Genesis to Exodus now, and I'm reading it. I've read those books before, but they never took the life today that they did today. And for me, when I went back there, as I said, because I was watching other successful people, I was watching people that seemed to have it together, and I'm having great successes, but it was kind of a little chunky, you know. Mm-hmm. And I was watching. I said, "What's the one thing?" And I, well, it can't be that. I'm sort of faithful. It can't be that. I believe in God. I believe in Christ. I mean, I believe in those things. It can't be that. And I'm thinking, well, maybe it is. And then all of a sudden, they asked me this question. She asked me, was I putting him first versus me? And I'm like, no, not that. But it can't be that. I mean, anyways, I started to read, and I asked the question. As I read through the Bible, which is obviously the people of my heritage, I was asking the questions, how much faith did each one of these dudes have to have in order to see what the message was? And could I possibly have equal or as close to the same faith as these characters of these heroes of the Bible? And I kept asking myself that question. And every day I wake up, am I having the same amount of faith? Because I'm listening to it, you know, and now I'm seeing the fruits of that. Wow. And that's amazing.
That's very powerful.
Yeah, very and I'm asking those. No, that's for me. I'm not telling people they got to read the Bible or not. It's up to them. Like, you know, I've known about the Bible for 30 years, but I hadn't really read it the same way. But for me, it was the right message. My friend was in the right position. A lot of things tipped over at the right time when that question was the one that had to have answered. Right. I guess obviously I was feeling disconnected. I can tell you I was. Mm-hmm. And now I'm feeling more connected. Right. Not because of that, because of everything is now lined up. Did it happen to you the same way?
Oh, well, absolutely.
I mean, not the Bible thing,
well,
but...
Yeah, no, but I mean, it comes down to owning who you are. And that means, you know, all aspects of who you are. When I was a child, I felt totally out of place. Really? Totally out of place. There was never a group that I fit into. I made people uncomfortable, and you know, I don't know, like it would just, they would kind of look into my eyes and they would freak people out. Right? So, you know, I don't know, you know, and of course, you know, over time, I started shutting down. I started putting barriers up around myself to try and cope with the world because it seemed so harsh and so foreign to me.
Can we spend some
Things
time
I couldn't understand.
Let me ask you this question. Can we stop here? I don't want to lose the story, but kids that I'm working with today are feeling similarly. Yes. I'm watching them put the walls around. They don't feel they fit. They join a group, but they're not really there. You were there years ago.
That's right.
How did you get past this? So all of a sudden.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's 40-something years later.
Yeah. But these kids got to get through it now.
That's right.
Because they're hurting themselves.
That's right. Well, I think there's a lot more acceptance and there's a lot more knowledge and understanding in the world today. And I think, you know, there's more people like you who are doing this wonderful work, reaching out with kids and helping them to see that, you know, they're not alone. Right? They might be different from the rest of their classmates, but they're not alone because there are so many others out there who are experiencing that. And people like you, the work that you are doing is phenomenal. It's incredible. It's life-changing. And it's affecting, you know, our future generations and what's going to happen in the world ahead of us. So, you know, as more and more, you know, if things that I can do is say, or if I can reach out and touch someone and help them to see that they're not alone, that difference is good.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's
okay. Good.
Right.
Yes. Right? We don't want to all be the same. How boring would that be?
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, exactly. I'm reading.
How boring would that be?
Well,
but we tend to disown those parts of ourselves that are different from the people that we sort of are in our little community.
Yes.
We disown that because we don't fit in. So what do?
So you didn't fit in.
No.
I didn't fit in either. My neighborhoods either. I was kind of a loner, not a loner, but I didn't have a lot of close friends. So we have to figure it out. I see a lot of kids like what you're talking about and like what I was like. And being bullied as a kid and all that stuff because I was odd, and today I'm I'm more comfortable in my skin, and you're right, I am telling the stories. I tell it because I've just been encouraged to tell it, and whatever comes out of it comes out of it. My intention is to help somebody find their way, similar to what you've done. Let's move to the Emerald Heart thing. So let's move on a bit.
Okay.
Not because it's not good stuff, but I want to talk about this Emerald Heart that you talk about. Explain what you mean by that.
The Emerald Heart. Well. In researching the story for the Phoenix Star, I stumbled across these lost legends of the Emerald Tablet, which contain writings. They're emerald crystal tablets that have supposedly been brought to Earth from the Atlantean god Thoth, and they're engraved stones that contain energetically within the crystal themselves, and along with their writings, contain the sum of all knowledge, right?
Okay.
And so,
these are physical tablets that existed at one time.
Yes.
Okay. They still do somewhere, supposedly.
Supposedly.
Okay.
Yes.
It's kind of like the Book of Mormon thing. Okay.
Well, I mean, like people are off on all different searches,
of course.
all over the world.
Well, let's go with this one.
Right. Okay. So in my writings, I wanted to incorporate this. Something about it spoke to me.
Okay.
This Emerald Tablet spoke to me, and so as I've been healing and working and writing on my newsletters and going within, I'm discovering this incredible, and I started referring to my heart as the gem, like a crystal gem. And then I started making the association of the heart healing. Emerald green is symbolic of healing. Green is a healing color.
Yes. And
so it just kind of all started blending together, where I was getting these messages about this diamond, emerald, crystal heart, and it just started falling into place, and really it represents the core of who we are, our true essence.
But a lot of people are out there talking what you're talking right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to sort of play on this side of the fence for a while. They're talking about finding your authentic self,
right?
And all this kind of stuff. And for you and I have been to many holistic world shows, and the great places are gone in those circles. At a certain point in time, I'm like, what are we talking about? And I'm looking for the people that look like they have it together. And sometimes the people that are talking, I'm like, I don't get that vibe from you at all. Right. Those people, I'm not saying you. How do people find this thing? Like, you do a workshop. You have a workshop where you'll teach people this. What's that like? How do you help people figure it out? If you found it, it's great. But everybody's journey is going to be a little different because they have a bunch of other stuff they got to get rid of. Right. So when you tell me to find my authentic self, and quite frankly, no one's ever asked me, I'm like, who are you talking about, Jack? You know what I mean? Like, you got to go through 40 years of life.
Well, that's exactly.
So
it takes a lot of courage. Really, it does. It takes a lot of courage to go into yourself and find out who you really are, to acknowledge those parts that you have been disowning throughout your whole life.